Today, we are unpacking a real paradox, something happening right now at the very heart of India's economy. You see, it's a tale of two completely different stories happening at the exact same time. On one hand, you've got this incredible, powerful momentum, but on the other, it's staring down a crisis of truly global proportions.
Okay, let's just dive right in, because this contrast is pretty stark. You have India's domestic economy, which is just on fire, an absolute powerhouse putting up record growth. But at the same moment, a massive geopolitical crisis is exploding, and it threatens to throw a wrench in the whole thing.
So first up, let's look under the hood of that incredible performance. What exactly is driving this thing? What are the internal forces that are pushing the economy forward at such a breakneck pace?
Well, the headline number, the one that really tells the story, is this: a stunning 7.6% real GDP growth. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is one of the highest growth rates for any major economy on the planet. This isn't just a good number, it's a sign of some serious domestic strength.
Now, what's really fascinating is how the government is managing all this. It's like they're hitting the gas and the brake at the same time. They are absolutely supercharging the economy with a massive infrastructure spend. We're talking 12.2 lakh crore, that's around $150 billion, while also tightening their belt and getting the fiscal deficit under control. It's a really bold strategy. Spend big, but plan for long-term discipline.
But just as this economic engine was roaring to life, hitting top gear, bam! A massive external shockwave hits the world economy in March of 2026. And for India, it landed right on its doorstep.
We're talking about a full-scale armed conflict involving the US, Israel, and Iran. And the immediate result? It has crippled the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the most critical arteries for global trade. Just like that, 10 million barrels of oil per day gone from the global market. And that sent shockwaves absolutely everywhere.
And this right here, this just shows you the level of uncertainty that crisis created. Just look at the different guesses for India's next fiscal year. You've got India's own central bank, the RBI, who are still cautiously optimistic, betting that domestic strength will win out. But then you look at the World Bank and the IMF, and they're seeing a different story, downgrading their outlooks because of those sky-high energy prices. Nobody can quite agree on what happens next.
The governor of India's central bank, Sanjay Malhotra, he did not mince words. He basically laid it out in the starkest terms possible, identifying 5 clear and present dangers that this one external crisis poses to that domestic boom we were just talking about.
And this is the key thing to get here. This isn't just about paying more for gas. It's a chain reaction, a cascade. You get imported inflation, so everything costs more. Vital supply chains get all tangled up. Global investors get nervous, which tightens up liquidity, making it harder to borrow money. And of course, external demand weakens, threatening exports. It is a multi-front economic assault.
Okay, so that's the big picture, the macro stuff. But when you zoom in, things get, well, they get really fascinating. Amidst this massive global storm, you find these incredible stories of resilience, of contradictions that just don't seem to make sense at first glance.
So you've got this huge problem, right? Ships are being forced to take these massive, long detours around Africa. And for some sectors, like the basmati rice industry, they lost key markets practically overnight. So what happened? The government stepped in, and decisively, with a program called Relief. They started providing 100% risk coverage to backstop exporters and just keep trade moving.
Now get this. This is a fascinating twist. Right as all this global chaos is unfolding, what's happening back home? The domestic unemployment rate, it actually dropped to a really impressive 4.9%. I mean, you'd expect job losses with trade being disrupted like this, but it suggests that for now at least, that internal engine is still strong enough to keep creating jobs. A real paradox.
But, and this is a huge but, here's the other side of that coin. There is a massive threat looming over the 9 million Indian nationals who work in the Middle East. Every year, they send home over $50 billion. That's a critical lifeline for countless families, and it's now in serious jeopardy.
So you have to ask, with all this chaos, why is foreign capital still pouring into India? Well, it pretty much comes down to this key strategic idea, China plus one. Global companies are desperate to de-risk their supply chains, to not have all their eggs in one basket, and India is quickly emerging as a top destination for that diversification. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. These are monumental investments.
Just look at Hyundai. They're committing a massive 45,000 crore rupees to build out their manufacturing base, with plans for dozens of new models, including an electric SUV designed right there in India.
And it is the exact same story in the world of tech. Samsung is basically betting its entire future product line, stuff like the Galaxy S26 and its powerful on-device AI, on its 14,000 engineers in India. Their goal to deploy 800 million AI devices globally, that's being powered by Indian talent.
You know, this crisis is having another, maybe even deeper effect. It's actually accelerating India's pivot towards a new kind of future, one that's built on domestic technology and a total recalibration of its connections to the world.
And a huge piece of that future is this idea of sovereign AI. So what is that? Well, it's pretty much a declaration of technological independence. The goal isn't just to be a player in AI, it's to build and control its own entire AI ecosystem, from the chips to the talent, to guarantee that it won't be dependent on anyone else.
And this isn't just some vague idea either. There is a real ambitious plan called the India AI Mission. The goals are concrete and clear. Get the computing power you need, build a massive startup ecosystem, and grow the market exponentially, all while creating a framework for safe and trustworthy AI.
Meanwhile, what about those grand physical connections? That massive IMEC corridor project designed to link India all the way to Europe? Well, because of the conflict, that's on hold for now. But what's really interesting is that analysts think when it does come back, it'll be even more strategic, focusing on the future of trade, green energy, and digital connectivity. All right, so let's try and put all these pieces together. You have this roaring domestic engine, and you have this severe external storm. What happens when these two powerful, opposing narratives collide?
What we're witnessing, I think, is a great recalibration. This is an economy being forged in fire, in real time. All of that incredible domestic potential is being intensely pressure tested by an external crisis that is truly historic. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Is this moment of crisis just a temporary setback for India? Just a roadblock on its path? Or is it the very catalyst, the fire, that will ultimately forge an even more resilient and self-reliant global power for the decades to come? Something to think about.